Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I am Lynn DelGaudio, and I am your guest host today on Ladies Go Live, the power behind the woman. This is one of me, and I am filling in today for the wonderful, the amazing, the one and only Liz Jones. And my guest today is the one and only, the wonderful, the amazing, you guessed it, Liz Jones. Liz, welcome to your podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I love that intro. But actually, it's kind of important because the reason I set this up was so we actually explain the health and find a professional woman.
Yes. I'm so excited to be able to interview you. And if, I don't know, I'm sure many of you already know who Liz is, but in case you've been living under a rock, or you just aren't familiar with her, or maybe you know who Liz Jones is, but you really don't understand what she does fully. Tell us about who you are, what you do, and also I want to know like how your journey has been influenced by health and well-being.
Well, obviously, I'm Liz Jones. I am a wellness coach and founder of Mind Body House. So probably started my journey. I obviously played sports since I could walk. And my goal, even as a child, was to become a personal trainer. And then, of course, developed up through fitness, eventually did a sports degree, went in the army, came out and just went, I'm going to become a PT. And then in the last just over 10 years, I've just developed up through my fitness profession. And so now, of course, I deliver sort of private training, personal training, fast track sort of wellness coaching. So really transformational in lifestyle in terms of like healthy eating habits, sleep, fitness levels, weight management. So basically completely transforming your life. So when you feel like you've hit that grey point and in a short time to make the really big changes that you need and want. As well as then I do the Mind Body online studio, which is a group exercise. So of course, one of the elements of that, obviously we do offer the coaching and things like this, but one element is that there's the things that keep you going each week. So, and of course, right now they're the things that sort of keep you sane. It's like there's fun things in a week to de-stress and take care of your health. So
when exactly is it that you sleep? That's a lot.
I sleep. Sleep is actually really important. To be honest, if you don't get enough sleep, I I always find if I'm still working in the evening at 10 o'clock, I have to wind down because I get up about between 6 and 7 every single day. So I try and get up at 6, depends what time my first session is, and start early. But sleep is important. It's how you manage to do what you do in the day.
Yep. So obviously, health and well-being is important for us. Yeah. Hi, everybody, as individuals. But what about, business owners, professionals, specifically? Why is it important that they take care of not only their physical health, but their mental health as well?
Yeah. Well, mental health is, I'll say, essential. Particularly, it's the one thing that gets pushed without you even realizing it. So, obviously, being a mindset coach, we already know about how big and busy mindset is. But when we become professionals, we absorb so much. We're like, oh, I can just do this. I can push on. They can do it. I can do it. And we set these expectations on ourselves. I've done it before. I can do this. And at one point, I was doing 3 managers' roles in what I was doing. It was a case of, well, we didn't have the manpower, so I either did it and got on with it. You saw the desk, it looked like a bomb exploded. But that I just turned around and went, well, I either do this or I tied my desk. And my boss just looked at me and went, do your job, you're fine, and just left me to it. But we constantly make sacrifices within our day and we push things to the side. We make those quick decisions. So the mind makes over 35,000 decisions a day, which you know about. So we're making all these decisions all the time. And the idea is if we take care of our well-being, we're making good ones, and the ones we make subconsciously are much easier, much healthier, much more effective, and increase productivity. The feeling of, oh my God, I've still got more to do gets sort of pushed aside. Like you say, how do you do what you do? I put my health first.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure I go to bed at night, I sleep. I've already been out. I taught yoga, so I already do about 50% of my classes when I teach. I've already been for over an hour's walk, so you kind of go, do I have things to do? Yes. What's priority for me? So if you put those first, actually, then you come back and you can work harder for that hour or whichever time.
Yeah. And, especially with this pandemic, that in the lockdowns, we've been facing even more challenges than we normally did. And stress was actually at epidemic levels even before we were faced with this. So mental health is even more at the forefront nowadays, I believe. And yeah, a lot of these decisions are kind of, we push through. We just kind of subconsciously, become that rat on a wheel before we even know it.
Yeah.
And that stress can manifest if we let it gain enough momentum in a physical, really a physical stress response, which we don't want. But how is that keeping in line with the pandemic? How has that impacted your mental health or your physical fitness levels, if at all? Because I know you're the fitness guru.
Yeah, I don't stop. But for me, the one thing that's kept me sane is actually keeping fit. So even in the pandemic, first week I took off because I was like, oh, well, what can you do? We'll be back at work in a couple of weeks. It's just a little break. And then I set up my little online studio, which initially was just more a case of, let's keep fit. Let's have something to do. Give me some structure. And it wasn't really doing anything but, giving me a bit of sanity in my day. And of course, I ended up picking up a couple of old clients, and I kept a couple of my clients going because they joined, together, which was really, really nice. And then, of course, I went and did my yoga teacher. So, of course, I became a full 200-hour yoga teacher, qualified in Vinyasa Flow. So I basically used the time to invest in my fitness. Every day at one point, I was going for a walk. Now I don't go every day, but I do try and get out of the house, most days, so that I'm still getting some fresh air, I'm still out and about. In terms of my fitness levels, they have dropped. And because I used to walk 10,000, 20,000 steps a day before anything else. I used to obviously teach my classes. So I used to teach anything from 3 to 6 classes a day, 6 days a week. On top of that, I used to do my own workout 4 days a week. So now we're hitting the pandemic. I'm not doing the 10 to 20,000 a day. A walk, generally between 6 and 12,000 on an average. And that's sort of 3 or 4 days a week. So although I'm still physically active, I'm still teaching, my classes, I'm still very active. It has impacted. But then if we talk about health, to stay healthy, to stay fit, it's, you need to do the right amount. So I'm still staying active and healthy. It's just I've noticed the amount I did before was quite a lot. So, you probably say it's a good thing to rest up a bit.
I know that you talk a lot about, self-confidence and body self-confidence. Why do you think that's important in your personal life, but also in your career?
Have you ever walked in? This is probably a great one. Miss Ex-corporate as well, like me.
Yeah.
Walking into that, you walk into a meeting to give a presentation. Yeah. You're twitching, you're pulling your shirt, and you're doing this, and you're just like, you've got to get up, and then you're like, and the whole time then you're doing this, and and you're just fidgeting. And instead of walking in and just going, yeah, I've got this, very clear, very confident, because if you're feeling a little bit, I say podgy, you've got a little bit extra, you sit down, your skirt rides up because it's a little tight at the moment, or because you put a bit of weight, your buttons are popping, so you're like this, and you're trying to sit like this and high, your whole body language will present this. And of course, you can't hide in baggy sweats and everything if you walk into a boardroom. Even though we're over Zoom, you still got to be presentable. So it's kind of like you want that confidence. And that confidence is then coming across, because then you don't worry and fidget. Are they looking at my shoes? Are they looking at this? You don't worry about what they're looking at. You worry about what you're delivering, because that It's that internal thoughts, isn't it? Those internal negatives.
It's always those internal negatives. Always, and it's important that you get clothing that you're comfortable in so that you don't have those issues with the skirt riding up. And, and if you do happen to go to the restroom and you got something stuck somewhere, own it. Own it.
Yeah. And this is the thing, because obviously I coach a lot of women, and one of the things is obviously time of the month, because, in that meeting, I kind of have to go, got to go to the bathroom, and then being asked, oops, you're hiding. And then being asked, why do you need to go to the toilet? You should have gone beforehand. I've actually had clients say this to me. Or, for example, they're having that day where they're feeling crap. The first day or two, they're feeling really crap and they've got no energy. And the colleagues are all male, and they just say to them, all this, make some comment. Oh, you're not cheerful. You're not well. And it's like, okay, so I've told them, own it. Just own it, because they'll know you're doing your work. You can see you're doing your work. You're not off key. You're not sick, whichever. But just own it. It's my time of the month. There's no shame in that, because it's natural. You can't fight it.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the one thing that, I say all these awkward little stigmas that kind of can catch up on you. But yeah, we need to own those things. And like you said, get clothes that fit or you feel good in. If you feel you put on a bit of weight, well, you can buy a new wardrobe. But particularly post-baby, you'll feel you put on that baby weight, and you'll want to, your maternity clothes don't fit. Your clothes pre-pregnancy, if you're lucky, they do fit, but they generally sort of won't. So you've either got a choice. You either buy a new wardrobe and sort of then hide away probably what you don't feel comfortable with, or then you take action and get fitter, healthier, and in a few weeks get back into your clothes. So even by the time you go to work past maternity leave, you're back in your clothes. So you feel great.
Yep. So that can be a challenge for a lot of people. And how we frame it in our minds has a lot to do with it. So speaking of challenges, what has been your biggest challenge, and how do you tackle it?
Oof. I'll say during this pandemic, the biggest challenge is just the roller coaster, because obviously I have clients on, I have clients off, clients on, clients off. Do I make contingencies? Do I not? And, my clients, for example, I've got several clients and I hold their slots because they're my clients. That's when they have. But because of the pandemic, they go off. And, it's this kind of like trying. In the UK, things have been changing quickly at times.
Yeah.
We've gone into lockdown, come out, and you sit there going, you can't sort of plan around it. So you might have in your head, I'm so analytical. I like to plan. I have a picture in my head. I'll get up and I'll go, this is this. Like, just as simple as, for example, imagine get up in the morning, I'll have my bowl of cereal and I'll picture it and I have my coffee and I say, I'm going to do this and this is how I'll start. And I get down to the fridge and there's no milk. Or there's not enough. I'm sat there going, right. And that is how, because I sort of plan things. And so the biggest sort of challenge I've sort of faced is that sort of plan. And it's sort of a case of, it's kind of like going, right, okay, so I've got all these projects. I've got loads of projects and I've done a lot of courses and I've kind of had them and I'm being taken over with them. But now, of course, I went on clients off and they're going to be off for 2 months. Right, okay, project, and just filled their times with my projects. So I found something constructive that was actually a short-term fix or such a short-term filler. So my biggest challenge is the fact of things out of my control, because I'm so analytical in my planning. But now I've got so used to having those back burner tasks or little courses. I do a lot of little e-courses. I love those. Yeah. So I've got a few of those sort of on the go, so I can just go, I just do module that then. So there's no time frame on it. If I don't finish yet, and I'm not too sort of worried, it's more like upskilling, but they're quite fun to do, and they keep you busy when sort of things don't go quite to plan. So it's kind of that ability to adapt as well. You kind of have to work on that.
Yeah, what's the saying? Planning is everything, but plans mean nothing.
Yeah.
Because you do have to always have that flexibility. Things really never go as we expect them to. Can you just briefly, before I move on, can you tell us about like this mini course that you were just developing?
Oh, yes. You just want to know about my new projects and stuff. Well, because of the one thing obviously is apparent, we need to look after our health, and fitness is essential for the physical, mental, and emotional. But of course, right now there's been either people don't have the time because they're homeschooling, so they can't. And this is, like one of my clients has got this. Because they're now homeschooling, they haven't got the time to juggle everything in their day. Yet they still want to keep fit and active, and they still want to help. So I'm actually writing a 4-week sort of course, a Kickstart course. So for anyone who's, you can't afford a personal trainer, but you want to invest in something, 5-6 days a week, there's your workouts, let's get it done. Those who want that Kickstart but don't know where to start, or you just want to get back into it. So obviously I'm writing this full workout plan, full exercise briefs, full guidance and support to go with it, so that, if you want to Kickstart in 4 weeks, if you're motivated, the support will be there. So,
I love it. So tell me, Liz, I have a burning question.
Yeah.
I want to know who's been the biggest influence in your life and why. It's a big question.
It's going to sound really sad, but my nan.
Aww.
My nan's my golden angel.
It doesn't sound sad. I love it.
But as you get older, you sort of, the things you remember, and of course, like my mum's always had the big job. Like she went back to university in her 30s. When I was a child, my mum went back to university to obviously upgrade. My dad used to run his own business. He built beautiful sheds and summer houses when I was a child again. So again, I remember these things he was building. But when I was sick, when I was at school, my nan used to pick me up. And we used to go around to hers, and we used to dance in her living room. She used to ballroom dance. And then we were bored, she used to bake. So we used to get given dough. So literally, she used to make us some dough, flour and water, mix it up. And we got that to play with. So we thought we were baking too. We had our own cupboard that was full of crafts and things to do. When we went there, we were never, always stimulated. It was never just sat in front of the TV. There was always something different. There was always, went to the library, went for a walk. Like I said, did arts and crafts, were baking, helped my granddad in the greenhouse. So my nan just made sure that we always had something to do, and she used to paint a lot. So we used to I remember she had these, this is so cute, the plastic sleeves.
Yeah.
Because we used to keep getting our sleeves dirty. So she bought us some plastic sleeves for our arms. So at one point they were like covering our arms because we were so little. Then as we got older, they course only forearms. And just so whenever we did something, she's like, put your sleeves on. All this.
I love it. So you got your exercise and you're dancing in the living room, you're working out, and then you go get your reward baking.
Yeah. And every time we went, so we used to go every Saturday. We used to love going. We used to drive down the road, go, that's Nana's house. She used to be able to see the greenhouse. And so, yeah, it was just a case of, in the war, for example, she was working in the factories. My nan and my granddad's an amazing story because it's, like The Notebook, it's that sort of story. They met at the war. She worked in the factories. He obviously went to war. And of course, they got married sort of, I think, when about 18, and are together for all their years. And, that sort of sweet story. But of course, so she obviously used to work and do like dressmaking and painting. But of course, obviously, I remember her, she's retired, the memories I've sort of got, she sort of caring for us. She was there when we were sick, and it was always the way she cut the sandwiches and, things like this, and the attention to details, and those are the memories I have. And it was a case of, even dunking biscuits. My mum hates dunking. My nan's like, yeah, dunk, it's great. 26 now, she's still on about dunking. But it also, what it's done is now I remember the little things. The little things are important to me. And it's not always about what you do. A toilet roll tube or kitchen roll tube can be a great toy for a child. Yeah. It's the creativity and the ability to think outside the box. And if she hadn't have done some of the things she'd done with us, we would never probably have done it. 2 working parents full time, which a lot have. those influences have really stuck with me.
And, as you're describing those experiences with I can see how she influenced you, because you do have that strong work ethic. You do have that creativity, that, attention to detail. All the things that you're describing have kind of not flown, have come through you from her.
Mm.
So I think that's beautiful. If you could give one piece of advice to our listeners out there, what do you think it would be?
Yeah, so you're going to know what I'm going to say. That's to put your well-being first.
Yeah.
Because, I always tell people to keep active, because being active, you can ease the stress. So we start off on the mental well-being, the mental side.
Yeah.
So it obviously helps you feel better, sort of stress relief, clears the thinking. You look after the physical body. So, all the stiffness, aches that you get from sitting down all day, it helps ease all that out. It takes care of your internal organs. So because obviously everything sort of starts functioning, better. Your heart, how you feel, if you're feeling sort of agitated and things like this, it can help calm you down, improves your sleep. Everyone goes, if you look at things and if you go to any doctor and they say anything, or any sort of things like, I've got anxiety, I've got stress, I've got physical injury, it's always exercise they give you of some sort, rehabilitation. Let's go swimming, go for a walk. It's always exercise, and there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm. And not only, it does all those things that you say, and diet too, and in conjunction, that reduces inflammation.
Yeah.
And inflammation is just, it's really a killer, and it'll reduce inflammation in the body and in the brain and give you more clarity of thought. Do all those things that you're describing, improve your mood, improve your sleep, and it just makes you feel better.
Yeah. And right now everyone sits there and goes, you put these blocks up. Oh, I can't do that, the gym's shut. Or I can't do that because I can't run. I was reading the news this morning. There's actually something I've read a couple which are quite true, and it's been there for a very long time. One was how women in 2017, 70% of women felt uncomfortable going running outside. Yeah.
Wow. That's high.
Being cases now, the reason I read this was it was flagged up was because there are sort of elite athletes. This is in Wales. They're not classed as the team level, so whatever, but they still compete at top level, and because they're not classed into the top elite athletes, they have to train outside. They're not allowed access to the training center. And the training outside, they're having people make comments, and actually harassment comments, not just sly digs or going, oh, look at whatever. This was in the news. I think it was BBC News. It was, but they are out there, and it's actually quite the fact that people then put these blocks up of, I can't go running on the road because it's going to hurt. I can't go running on the road because people will see me, and people get afraid, I'm sure you've heard this one of, I'm going to go to the gym, but everyone's going to watch me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go. And these mental barriers are what people block in.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I've taught, I really wish I had filmed it. Last time I taught in my hallway. My hallway is the size of a yoga mat, basically. Walls up the side. If I lie my yoga mat, I've got about that much either side of it, sort of 1 to 2 inches, just, sort of thing. It's not a massive gap. I've got walls. I've got one door which is shut and an archway, and I've got about 2 foot at the end of my mat. That's my hallway. I taught a HIIT class and a stretch class in my hallway. And I've actually done clients in my hallway. And just to prove the point is, you don't need masses of space.
Uh-uh.
And you don't need massive equipment. I use a yoga mat because it keeps the floor, keeps me off the floor.
You can be exercising sitting right on your couch. You and I have talked about that before.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's loads of simple. I mean, I teach with Age UK, and we do a chair-based exercise. So yeah, we have a resistance band, but we do some of it standing, like marching, and whichever. Some of it's seated. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need to be suddenly going, oh, I need to invest all this money. You can actually, and in fact, someone sent me the other day about how you can actually use, if you've got a thick pair of tights, hey, ladies, here's a brilliant tip for you. If you think you don't need to buy any. If you've got some thick tights, guess what? It's a resistance band.
Pro tip from Liz Jones. I love it.
Yeah. And bottles, if you've got tin cans, if you've got a carry bag, put 2-3 bag tight so they're not going to sort of wave around. You've got 2 weights.
Yeah. And you know what too, tennis balls are great for working out those little lumps and the crunches, and if you're you roll on your glute on a tennis ball if you don't have a foam roller. Really,
golf balls are more painful though.
Golf ball? Oh yeah,
but they're more painful.
Yeah.
People go, I haven't got a massage ball, I can't do this, I can't. I've actually shown people how to do it at the top of a bottle against a wall. People go, I haven't got that. It's like, actually, even you can roll on a tin because it's something you're uncovering.
There's studies out there that even if you close your eyes and like envision, and you tell your body a story that you are doing the exercise, there's studies that show that people get an increase in muscle just from
believing.
I mean, it would take practice, but yeah, you can. So it's that mind-body connection.
And I mean, we've talked about it with like visualization and sort of negative thoughts, because obviously if you automatically you do something stupid and go, oh, I'm an idiot. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And it was like, we said this on the live last week. I've now tried to stop. I'm typing and I try and not say just. Occasionally, I still need to say it. You can't just completely avoid it. But I actually always stop and think, I'm like, oh, am I trying to push down what I'm saying? Or am I trying to keep what I'm saying? And it's that sort of, now it's become a conscious thought. And of course, soon it's obviously changing my language, but it's also changing the impression I'm giving. And it's those negative thoughts, negative actions, that the I can't to I can's. And it takes about 10 positives to offset 1 negative.
And a lot of times, we'll say, oh, I can't, because maybe we've got a memory of something that happened in the past of, maybe I screwed up doing this, so therefore I'm going to screw up again. No, the past doesn't exist anymore. But
my favorite analogy, I'm not sure if I've shared this with you or this one, have you heard about the ants trail?
Oh, tell me.
Oh, I thought you'll like this. So basically, when I used to fence, my coach told me this when I was a teenager. Basically, you notice how ants always follow the same line. So they're always walking the same line. And then a leaf drops and they scatter and they're all over and they have no idea which way to go. Then eventually one will go and suddenly one will follow. And then gradually they all follow the same line. Because the more that go over that line, the stronger the signal. So when you break the line where they're going, they have no idea and have to reform it. And it's the same with your actions or your thoughts. Because if you do it once, this is why I'm surprised I've not told you this one. Because if you do it once, it's a weak signal. If you do it twice, it's a bit stronger. If you do it 10 times, you strengthen that signal. And so when I used to fence, this is why he told me, because if I did it wrong, I have to do that move 10 times to make the correct form in my head. And then eventually I was doing things blindfolded and all this because I could listen to commands and, response, and because I was moving correctly. But you have to do that work. And this is why people fall off the wagon, because they go, I've done it wrong, I'll try again, and quit.
Yep. And you know what ANT stands for?
No?
Another negative thought.
There you go.
And you fence too. She does it all, everybody. I don't know. I can't keep up with Liz Jones. Liz, we're running out of time, dear.
Oh, dear. So you're going to talk for
Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, please.
Well, the best way is, if you haven't noticed, I'm all over LinkedIn. So obviously, Liz Jones Wellness, you can find me. My website is lizjonescoaching.com, which is already in the comments, because I made sure I put that in. And of course, obviously links to any videos, podcasts on YouTube. Oh my God, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcast, Radio Podcast. You guessed it. The podcasts are out there. So yeah, if you get me, LinkedIn or my website is the best way.
Wow, this has been fun and went by too fast. And thanks for being here on your podcast with me, Liz, and allowing me to interview you today. It's been really a pleasure and an honor.
Oh, it's been lovely to be with you. So thank you. Shall we say bye?
Bye, everybody.